them?
Yeah, so really this project they call them trade deals, but really it's not very much about, us selling coffee and you selling clothes or something like that. It's not really what most people think about as trade. Really what it's about is rewriting the rules of the global economy to suit big business, big corporations. And that's a direct threat to our public services, our environmental regulation, our ability to protect the more vulnerable in our society, our democracy as a whole. And there were four components. One was TTIP, the most controversial. The other, which is better known in North America, is the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. But there's also two others, CETA, which is a Canadian EU deal, which is at a critical stage of negotiations. They're hoping to ratify that within the next 12 months, and that's the one they're really worried about. And then TISA, the Trade and Services Agreement, which covers all services from finance through telecommunications, postal services, transportation, right through to health and education. So massive super privatization, super liberalization treaty, which has about 50 countries involved in it. And they're particularly concerned about CETA. CETA just hasn't attracted the same amount of opposition here as TTIP has. And I think that's largely because people view Canada as a society and economy slightly more like Europe than the United States is, and so they've been less worried. The case we've made is this isn't about whether we want to be more like Canadians or more like Americans. This is about big business getting its way and people losing their control of their society. So that's the case we've got to make now with CETA. They thought CETA was safe, but what was starting to happen in the last 2 months, 3 months, was that the anti-TTIP campaign was actually starting to drag CETA down with it as well, because, as we said, this really is TTIP by the back door. If you're worried about big business suing our government for introducing regulations that protect the environment, that protect our society, or that they were democratically elected to carry out, then exactly the same thing will happen under CETA. Canadian multinationals will be able to do the same thing, but also American multinationals that have subsidiaries in Canada, and that's tens of thousands of corporate entities, will also be able to take those kind of actions. So CETA itself was starting to be a contested territory, and every week you saw a new parliament or a new government minister somewhere in Europe saying, we're not so sure about this. So they were really worried. So what they're hoping is, by taking this tactical retreat from TTIP, they will be able to get CETA through by the end of the year or early next year, and it's our job to try and make sure they don't.